After a 2-week break, we are back on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live with the International GT3 Championship coming your way from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Do stick around, we'll be back in just a moment. After our endurance race at Spa a few weeks ago, we head to Canada and Ontario, which just a few weeks ago was home to the IndyCar Grand Prix of Toronto. And today, at Mosport Park, it's going to be home to round 5 of the International GT3 Championship. Ricardo Ferreira and Follow Me Esports currently leads the Drivers' Championship, but John Peasnick is not too far behind and is a very good challenger. We're here for our first Super Sprint round today, meaning that only points are given for the third race. And you have in the finishing position in race 1 and 2 is super vital. Jack Stiles alongside Tobias Brockman and Paul Smith on the cameras for you today. And Tobias, Mosport is a very tricky circuit. Take us through some of the challenges that the drivers will face today.
So you have very fast corners, high-speed corners where aerodynamics are very important. But also turn 5 and 6, Moss, there's the double apex. You approach with a very high speed and you have to brake down very hard, and this is going to be a challenge, and we have to watch out for dive bombs as well.
Current race conditions up on your screen at the moment: 26 degrees in the air, 85% humidity, partly cloudy, and 12 kilometers an hour wind speed. The track distance is around 2.43 miles, and we have a 15-minute race to start you off with for race number 1. Championship standings up on your screen. You can see Ricardo Ferreira, 353 points. John Peasnick, Reece Goodkill rounds out your top 3. Some very quick drivers in the top 10 of this championship, Tobias, and you have to watch out. One name that you do need to watch out for is going to be Kenny Rusin. He missed the last round. He's back here today, currently qualified 8th, but John Peasnick currently rounding out the top of qualifying. The 20-minute session has around 3 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. The times are actually pretty close together. We have almost everyone up to P14 in the 1 minute 14 seconds. So it's going to be tight competition around here.
And of course, we do have 3 races today. It's a different format to what we've seen so far, and that format is going to be as follows. You will have a 15-minute race for 1, which will mean that these drivers are, race number 1, race number 2 will be 15 minutes long, and your starting position for race number 2 will be where you finish in race number 1, and where you finish in race number 2 will set where you start in race number 3. Race number 3 is the only race where points are going to be given, and that is also important because it means that the one race that's going to count is going to be the final race, Tobias, but to get a good starting position in that race, you have to do well in the first 2.
Yeah, you have to push all the way through. You can't really relax in any of the races, like in the switched grid situations. You really have to push from the very first race.
And of course, current qualifying times are up on your screen. You can see how close the top 15 are, all within a second. Currently looking at your championship 2nd place driver, John Peasnick, Element Motorsports, in that lovely McLaren, as he rounds his way through turn 4 up into that double apex. Turn 5, you said earlier on, to be very tricky here. Once, and then you have to get back on the brakes again, very tight, 90 kilometers an hour, as you can see how much steering lock Peasnick has to use to get himself around the corner, how much curb he has to use on the exit as well, coming down onto that back straight. This back straight is a very long one as well, although coming down into that final section, the S's 8, 9, and then into White's corner, turn number 10, that final one, as you can see the speed graphic powered by ATVO on the right hand side of your screen. You are picking up some good speed down that back straight, and that means that passing opportunities are going to be big and clever there.
Yeah, you see the S's, they're still pretty fast. Then coming into Whites right now to the front stretch and the start-finish line, you also have to watch out. You have to take a white line to get the speed down. But we've I think they will save it up, or maybe they even crash it here, because overtaking isn't that easy. I saw before in the qualifying, in the training, some errors the driver did, some crashes, some spins, so this is not an easy challenge.
Indeed not, and one driver returning today that we haven't seen, or we didn't see at the last round, I don't believe, was Damien McPhee, Pure Racing Team. He's always a driver who's very fast. You have to watch out for him, although it looks like he's not actually racing here today, which is interesting to see. A smaller grid than what we're used to, 21 cars. It has shrunk a little bit. You can already see that some of the big names are already not here. You're looking at 2 of the SRT cars. This is Kenny Roosen, Luca Fioravanti, 2 teammates. And obviously teammates are important to have here, Tobias, because you can work as a team. And in fact, you're looking at Alessandro Bachelega, in the SRT Esports Yellow, currently lining up second on your grid.
Yeah, the team is very important. You can use draft and Mario Andretti straight away. And then also the slower driver, they can block the guys behind, they can get them away from the first driver.
As the checkered flag flies for qualifying, the drivers will be able to complete the lap they're currently on. Some of the drivers are already going to be finishing up. Carlos Dieguez clearly deciding that's not going to be the case. Currently still eyes on this second place driver of Alessandro Bachelega. Can he make it to the top spot? He's only got to get about another 0.08 of a second, and that isn't too hard to make. He would probably be in a better position if he was sat behind his teammate of Kenny Roosens right now, though.
Yeah, I mean, as I told you, the draft, it's the thing. It's like on Spa a little bit, just a little bit, because it's so long compared to the rest of the track, to the other straights. This is where you can really lose time. When you don't get turn 6 right, you're really slow in the end, entering turn 8 and 9.
It looks as though Bachelega has bottled his lap time, so we can take you down to your starting grid. John Piesnik gets the pole, 1 minute 14.157. In second place is going to be Alessandro Bachelega. Third is going to be David Norfolowski, and fourth, Reese Gukill. Fifth is going to be the driver of Carlos Dieguez. Sixth is your championship leader, Ricardo Ferreira. Luca Fioravanti is going to line up 7th, and his SRT teammate is going to be alongside of Kenny Roosen in 8th. Paul Darling in 9th, and Ross Rizzo going to round out your top 10. Hugo Preto, Carl Raper going to make up row number 6. Brad Watson and Clinton Shane Smith going to be 13th and 14th. 15th is Jaco Posigoli, and Guy Leach going to start 16th. Paul Mansell in 17th, Darrell Carter in 18th, Wayne Bork in 19th, Martin Silvati in 20th, and John Roberts is going to round out your 21 car field. The drivers will get a full pace lap here, which means they do have a little bit longer just to get everything sorted and get into the groove today.
Yeah, a whole lap, that is a lot of time. It's also a lot of time to think through your line, think through where can I go 2 by 2, or where should I pull back and just slot in behind.
We'll just have a minute or so before the drivers get away behind the rough pace car, and tyre temperature is going to be important into turn 1 today, indeed, because it is a very fast right-hander. Your first slow corner after the drop of the green flag is going to be Moss Corner in 5 and 6, so you want the tyres to be up to temperature to make sure that you're not going to lose any grip at any point.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important. I mean, with track temperature, as you told, it's even getting less, because it's 29 degrees right now. Before it was 31 degrees Celsius. And I think guys are going to struggle, but it's luckily just, let's say, luckily 50 minutes race. So strategy is not that much of a point. It's really just getting there.
Yes, indeed. So that we're not going to see any pit stops today like we do in the endurance and the standard format. It's going to be a 15-minute sprint to the end, and I expect to see lots of action up and down your field, especially seems as though the whole field is covered by 2 seconds in lap time. The top 10 only being split by around 9/10 of a second. Not too long, and we will be heading out towards the start of the race, and looks like I made a little bit of a mistake. It's going to be 2 minutes before the drivers get ready. And actually, row number 3 is all made up of Follow Me Esports. Follow Me Esports are a very capable team. They aren't a pro team for nothing, Tobias. And for the drivers of Ricardo Ferreira and Carlos Dieguez starting 5th and 6th, could they maybe work together and try and get past some of the cars ahead of them to get themselves in a good position for race 2?
That's what they actually should do, because this is how you win races as a team, working together. I don't think there will be really like some comments from the pits like keep him in front or something, but they are pretty much working something out. It's normal.
It looks as though all of your drivers now have made it down onto the starting grid. The pace car does set away, so John Peasnick going to be leading the field. He will be under control of the field once the pace car makes their way down onto the lane. It's not going to be like we saw at Spa, where it took us ages to get going. It's going to be a case of the pace car comes down onto pit lane and away we go. John Peasnick is the only McLaren in the field today. There also has been a couple of changes. Clint Shane Smith has changed team. He is no longer running under his own team. He is now racing for the team of Torrent Motorsport. There has also been a change of car for one of your drivers. Russ Rizzo has changed from the Merc to the BMW, although it looks was changed to the Merc, sorry, from the BMW. So Ross Rizzo having a slight change of strategy in which car. You do get one change of car throughout the season. We did see it being changed by John Peasnick, deciding that the McLaren was the best way to go for him. I think it's a case of some of the drivers just realising that for the rest of the season, maybe the car they chose at the start isn't going to be as favourable for the rest of the rounds coming.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some people change the car. You have a change from BMW to McLaren from John Peasnick. You have the change back then from Jacob Scully from the Merc to the Audi, from the BMW to the Merc from Markings to the Rossi. So I think it's kind of that they know the BOP of the cars. I think they're trying to get the best out of it. They're checking out what the tracks are, and then, yeah, it's just a matter of BOP, I think.
And if you can get that, I mean, the BOP is obviously it's a subject we don't like talking about too much because everyone has their own different opinion, and I have a feeling that mine and Tobias's are probably different. So we're not going to talk about that. The drivers are heading their way down that back straight up towards the S's. And in just a few moments' time, we'll be racing for the first 15-minute race here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Tobias, very quickly, who is going to be your bet for the winner in race 1?
I actually have no idea. They're so close together, but John Peasnick is just an inch further away than the others.
Well, in 15 minutes or so, we will find out as the drivers make their way through the S's. This is obviously a very difficult section. You've got a very fast right-hander. You've got to be back on the brakes again for the left hand, and then back on the brakes, down a couple of gears for that final right-hander at White's corner. The pace car is going to make his way down onto pit lane. The field is under the control of the 555 of John Peasnick. He jumps out of the final corner. Green flag flies at Canadian Tires Motorsport Park. We are racing for race number 1. Looks as though Peasnick's got a good start. Down to the inside goes Carlos Dieguez. Can he get a move done on Reese Gukill? Not sure if he can. Luca Villaverante going to get through on Ricardo Ferreira. Contact between the two. Ferreira going to be pushed onto the grass. Kenny Marusan now under pressure from Paul Darling. We've got 2 cars around in turn number 3. That is one of the Follow Me Esports cars. That's Luca Villaverante, and that is your championship leader, Ricardo Ferreira, 3 wide and 2 deep.
And they crashed. They crashed really hard, actually. As I said, tire temperature is an essential thing, and I think they just lost it. And we got another one off-road, and another one.
That's the second Follow Me Esports car by the looks of it. That's Carlos Dieguez. He was that was the first car that span. And it looks as though Ricardo Ferreira just went for avoiding action. Lots of contact behind between these drivers. Everyone trying to sort themselves out as they come onto the back straight for the first time. Heavy damage to one of the BMWs as well, as you can see up on your screen. But nice start from John Peasnick. He's already managed to gap Alessandro Bachelega around 6 tenths of a second. So if he can keep this up, he's going to be in a nice comfortable position ready for race number 2.
Yeah, race number 2 starts with, as you said, the finishing order of race number 1. So really getting out of here, actually staying in front is very important. I think overtaking is not that easy now, why they all keep on slotted in and being in the draft of each other.
As we finish lap number 1, everyone's starting to settle down a little bit. Paddles further down in the field, looking as though Ricardo Ferreira trying to get his way past Jacopo Sigoli. 41 BMW trying to make up for the 6 positions that he lost at the start. Sigoli going to use a completely different line, but Ricardo Ferreira not going to be able to get his way through. Going to try once again into turn number 3. As we've got a leader crash, John Peasnick has had an incident through turn number 3. Just looks as though he went far too wide. Replay up on your screen now.
Yeah, let's see what he did there. Yeah, he came a little bit on the grass, but nothing happened now. Let's see, he's coming down. Yeah, you see, he's drifting. I think it's also the tires.
Yeah, maybe those tires aren't quite up to temperature. You can see coming through Quebec corner. Little twitch for the 555, and well, he's out on the grass. He has lost 5 positions, so Alessandro Bachelega now going to inherit the lead. And for John Peasnick, he's now dropped down into position number 5 behind the lightning fast. Kenny Ruson's in the 333, the SRT Esports machine. Do not expect John Piesnik to settle down though. He will want to make up positions. Ricardo Ferreira has managed to get his way through on Jacopo Sigoli by the looks of it. His next target is Luca Fianferranti. He lost 3 positions at the start and he has heavy damage to that 336.
Yeah, it looks like the back of the car is pretty much bent and also the front. So the hit, that wasn't an easy one. I'm actually pretty surprised he's keeping the car on track that good at the moment.
Yeah, it looks as though it's just aero damage for now. Probably caught up in that first lap incident we saw. Now onto lap number 3. The laps do tumble here very quickly. We're looking at about a 14-lap race, 13-lap race here today for race number 1, of course. We're running this one in the morning. We will be changing to afternoon weather, so it's going to be a lot warmer for these drivers, a lot more heat on the track for these drivers to deal with, and then we will be running a late afternoon for the 3rd race, so it's going to be much cooler once again. So you might find these drivers actually adjusting the setup just a little bit for the 2nd race, so the cars can deal with the warmer temperatures a lot better.
I mean, yeah, you can compensate with tire pressure also a little bit with camber, and but you still have to get a feeling for the track every time, and there is actually no time to get it apart from the introduction lap or the formation lap, but there you can't really try the track.
Battle on your screen at the moment is the battle for position number 2 between David Northwowski of Triton Racing and Rhys Gukill of Element Racing, teammate 2, or the driver of John Piesnik. For Rhys Gukill, he wants to get his way up the order a bit further, but David Northwowski and Triton Racing, they're coming off the back of a win at Spa. Very capable team as Gukill gets very loose through turn number 3 that time. Again, the tyre's just not getting up to temperature and he loses a lot of time to David Northwowski. Northwowski now within a second of your leader, Alessandro Bacialega.
Alessandro Bacialega is here the lucky dog at the moment. He didn't even think about getting John Piesnik, but he's now comfortable leading actually a second. That's quite a bit of time for like 4 laps.
Yeah, indeed so, and that's what he needs to do. Currently looking through the rest of the screen, nice, or the rest of your field, nice big train from P4 down to P number 10. The battle between P2 has closed back to within a second, so the drivers, as we have a car round out of the Moss corner, replay up on the screen, this is the driver of Wayne Brook, as soon as you sim racing. Let's see what's happened here. It looks as though he's just come through turn number 4, up into 5 Moss corner. It's just a case of, is it a little bit too much curb on the exit? Yes, it is. It just spits the Audi R8. Slight contact with a concrete wall. That's very easy to do, actually. And that curb can be deadly.
Yeah, the curb is pretty high and we've got to drop off to the grass on the other side. So the car just sits on the curb and is uncontrollable and you're just a passenger.
Yeah, and you don't want to hit that curb too hard. Looks as though down to, or battle on your screen as well at the moment. Battle for position number 9 on board with Luca Fianferranti, the SRT Esports yellow driver, just 2.5 tenths back from Car Raper. 1.3 seconds, 0.13 seconds now. Can Luca make a move into 5 and 6 this time? I don't think he can. I wonder whether the damage is actually hindering him a bit, because Carl is going to have more speed in a straight line, and that's going to actually favour that 570 as opposed to Luca Fianferranti, who's going to have to get it done on the brakes.
Yeah, he can be pretty lucky to be in the draft right now, otherwise he would lose a lot of time. Since the draft actually compensates a little bit the aero damage, but since they both, are they both on the Mercedes? No, I think he's on the Mercedes as well, so they both have pretty decent brakes, and getting him under braking is hard. He has to keep the pressure high.
Yes, as they round that final corner, they do have the driver ahead of them with Brad Watson in the Audi R8. So it's an Audi R8 versus 2 Mercedes. The Mercedes, a very big grunty car off the corners, big V8 powering that car, but the Audi, quick in a straight line, very good in a straight line. Obviously the V10 providing a lot of power. Luca Fianferranti into turn number 3. Not going to be able to make a move this time, just not close enough to get the move done by the looks of it. And I think that damage is hindering him. I wonder whether he's going to have to start settling for P number 10 and try and make the moves in race number 2 when he has a clean car once again.
Yeah, but he also has to watch out because from behind is Ricardo Ferreira coming. We're now seeing the battle from Guy Leach and Jacopo Sigoli. I'm sorry if I don't get the names right. They're currently fighting for P12, and it's very awesome to see the racing is very close throughout the whole field.
This is what we like to see indeed. Approaching the halfway stage in this race now. 7 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Guy Leach obviously wanting to make his way up the field even further. He's up 3 positions on where he started. So is Segoli. So trying to make it 4 for Guy Leach. Biggest mover and shaker so far in your race is up 5 positions. That's Brad Watson, but there's also Martin Silvassi further down in the field as well in 15. You can see that on your screen at the moment. Some drivers have lost 5 positions, and for Carlos Dieguez, he's lost the most. He's down 12.
Yeah, that's very, very unfortunate right now for him. But what I can see right now is that the top 10 just switched through, kind of, apart from Rizzo and Carlos Dieguez, of course. But we have Daryl Carter, actually, who's not in the race anymore, as it seems.
No, I think Carter picked up, that was the BMW you saw with heavy damage at the start. You can see the battle between Riccardo Ferreira and Luca Fioravanti up on your screen. Ferreira lost him around half a second quicker. Lovely onboard shot. You can see how quickly they have to scrub off that screen. First gear corner. There's not many corners we have in the world of motor racing where you have to use first gear, especially in these GT cars. And out and away onto the back straight he goes. He has a lot of work to wake up to that driver of Luca Fioravanti, but he hasn't got the time to do it. 6 minutes and 22 seconds remaining, Tobias. With that damage on Luca's car, do not count out Riccardo Ferreira for getting back inside the top 10.
You know, the only thing he can hope now that he's battling with Watson and loses time, and that just Fioravanti can just slot in somewhere and surprise both of them, maybe.
And of course, he is going to be joining that battle of 3 cars for position number 9, currently still headed by Brad Watson. Hugo Prado in 8th, or in 7th, sorry, hasn't been able to make up any places so far. He's made up 4, but is not anywhere near Paul Darling. One is another Follow Me Esports driver, I believe. So Follow Me Esports once again as Luca Fioravanti looks to the inside on Carl Raper. Top 8 currently up on your screen. Alessandro Bacialega, your leader that you're currently looking at now, currently still leading. David Northwowski 2 seconds behind, currently in a battle for 2nd with Reese Goodgill. And Kenny Roosens in 4th, John Pease in 5th, Paul Darling 6th, Hugo Prado in 7th, and Brad Watson in 8th. You can see the battle for position number 9 on your screens. Luca Fioravanti closer than he has been all day long. Can he make a move on Carl Raper into the S's this time as we ride on board with him?
Yeah, the S's are pretty fast turns, but they actually have just 1 or maybe 1.5 different lines you can take. But Carl Raper, he is definitely under pressure, and you can see he's losing time to Watson in front a little bit, but also Watson is not doing his fastest times right now.
Watson indeed is not. He is losing a little bit of time to the drivers behind who are quicker, but this has allowed Riccardo Ferreira to close the gap. Carl loose out of the final corner. Luca Fioravanti looking into turn number 1, back into the draft he goes. But this has now let Riccardo Ferreira catch up to this battle, so we've now got a 3-way battle for position number 9. Riccardo Ferreira is the fastest of the 3 by the looks of it. Last time around did set the fastest time of them as they go side by side through Clayton Corner. Can Luca Fioravanti go into the outside, get it done into Quebec? No, he can't. He gets loose. This allows Riccardo Ferreira through on the inside. Riccardo Ferreira makes his way up into position number 10. He's got 1 done, just 1 more to go, and he will be back up into 9th. He would have cleared this nice big battle, and he can then deal with that driver of Brad Watson. But Luca Fioravanti looking like he doesn't want to let it go too easy. He wants to fight back. Coming into Moss this time, very close to the rear end of the number 13, and out of the way they go.
Yeah, Ferreira here now took the opportunity. He saw the mistake that was done, and he took the place. Very well done maneuver, and very fair as well.
Indeed so, that's what we like to see, nice clean racing. These guys aren't some of the best in the world for no reason. Fioravanti getting on a little bit loose on the grass. He's going to have to run the outside line through the S's, and that's not the favourite. He's going to lose time. That means he can get later on the brakes, though, into the second part, into White's corner for the 9th time as they head on to lap number 10. Just 4 more laps remaining in this race. Ferreira running wide out of the final corner. Can Fioravanti advantage off of this one? No, he can't. So Ferreira, once again, nice and steady. But this also, these 2 battling has let Carl Raper get away just a little bit and let him bridge the gap between the 2. That could mean that he's in a little bit more of a comfortable position going into the end of this race.
Yeah, but also Watson has kind of found his consistency again. He's pulling away a little bit from Carl Raper, but Ferreira, he is trying to get there, but I think there will not be enough time to do something to get to P9.
Oh, I don't know. Ferreira goes loose into Moss corner this time. Luca Fioravanti has the inside line, but Ferreira manages to use his car to his advantage. Shuts the door as they come out onto the straight. That's going to mean that Luca Fioravanti is on the back on the back foot coming down into the S's this time. So the battle still goes on for position number 10. Clearly, Luca Fioravanti wants that top 10 position. Guy Leach and Choco Sigoli still not going to be able to make any moves on this one. Going to stick with your current battle for P number 9. As Luca Fioravanti once again looks into the S's, not going to be able to make a move. Ricardo Ferreira nice and steady in the following eSports car. He isn't the championship lead for no reason, of course. He's not going to be worrying too much about his points advantage in race number 1 or 2. Race number 3 is where he's going to have to start worrying.
Actually, this is more like a qualifying race, you can say, in the mind of some people. They know they have to be in front, but they can still tell you themselves, it's okay, just keep cool, there's still race 2, there's still race 3. Race 3 is where it counts, don't overdo it right now, you don't want any penalties. Because this is also a thing, you have to watch out your driving style, you have to keep it fair, otherwise you're gonna collect penalties. We have race control and yeah, just watch out on track.
Of course, there is post-race race control in effect, so you can very easily get penalty points. We have seen it. One driver who is not here today, who would usually be fighting up at the front of your field, is Luis Paulo Gallen. He has gone on a last-minute holiday, by the sounds of it, to an extravagant country down in the area that he lives in. Obviously, the Brazilian now living in Australia. He is one of the top names in this series, always very fast to watch. Obviously, and it's a shame he's not here today, actually, because he is a very entertaining driver. John Peasnick, Kenny Roosens now within 3/10 of one another. Peasnick obviously not been able to make up much position since his mistake on the opening stages, but can he get through on Kenny Roosen in the closing stages? Just the final 2 laps start to open in race number 1.
Yeah, you see in turn 1 he's kind of closing in, but the Mercedes looks way planted on track. He's very sturdy, and you see the McLaren moving around, the car working in all directions, and I think this is also costing him a little bit of time that he could use to get Roosen.
Yeah, and for John Peasnick, he does have to be careful. The McLaren is a little bit more susceptible to that oversteer than the Mercedes. The Mercedes is a very, very planted, safe car. You can see he's using every single revolution of that engine possible, hitting the rev limit on every single gear change into Moss Corner. He's using second gear, which is interesting. Maybe having a slightly different gear stack to some of the other drivers here today, meaning that he can use it. He's got to look to the inside as they head down the back straight into the S's, using the straight line speed of the McLaren over the big grunt of the Mercedes, and in fact Kenny Roosen's nothing to answer. So John Peasnick moves his way up into position number 4. Nice and easy pass.
I just saw Roosen actually using the brake pedal on the straight. Yeah, he let him pass. Maybe he had some kind of slowdown or penalty?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. As white flag flies, we have one more lap remaining in this race. It just looks as though Kenny Roosens didn't want to challenge. He does know that there's no points awarded for this race. So if he knows that he can get a good start and maybe get his way back past John Peasnick, get himself some advantage for race number 3, then I think he can use it. Currently looking at your leader, Alessandro Bacialega. He's had no competition throughout this race. Must be said, a very nice and sturdy run from him.
Yeah, but can he keep this pace on for race 2 and most importantly race 3? Now, after 50 minutes, 2-second lead, that's actually pretty good, and that's also pretty comfortable in my opinion.
It is a very comfortable lead, especially after just 15 minutes of racing, so he rounds Moss Corner for the final time. Just the S's and White's corner to navigate. Currently up on your screens, you can see in the background the battle for position number 2. Reese Gukor never made a move on David Norwowski, and of course John Peasnick and Kenny Roosens, they sorted that out last time around. Quick update on your battle for position number 10. Ricardo Ferreira has lost it to Luca Fioravanti on this lap, but we will come back to that in just a moment's time. Alessandro Bacialega rounds the final corner for the final time in race number 1 and crosses the line, takes the checkered flag as he does a little bit of a weave, light flash, and SRT Esports takes race number 1. Alessandro Bacialega, nice run from here. David Norwowski finishes second. Reese Gukor going to round out your podium, but yes, Ricardo Ferreira, he's going to make contact with Carl Raper off the final corner, and Carl, actually, I think he's run out of fuel. So has he got the fuel strategy slightly wrong? He has. He choked out of the final corner. Ricardo Ferreira not expecting that car not to accelerate off of that, and he loses a lot of positions in the final moments. Loses just the one to Ricardo Ferreira.
Yeah, that was actually pretty weird. This is very, very dangerous actually. People, normally you don't do your strategies on your own if you're in a team like a bigger team, but sometimes you still get the numbers wrong and then you get pushed from behind.
Yeah, it's just an unlucky incident. The final drivers currently making their way across the line. John Roberts, I believe, is going to round out the 20 cars that finish, and we will take you down to your race spot finishing positions. Alessandro Bacilega taking the win for race number 1 by 2.1 seconds over the Triton Racing machine of David Northwowski. Reese Gukor going to finish 3rd, and John Piesnik going to finish 4th. Kenny Roosens in 5th, Paul Darling in 6th, Hugo Preto in 7th, Brad Watson in 8th, Ricardo Ferreira in 9th, and Carl Raper going to round out your top 10. 11th is going to go to Luca Fianferranti, and 12th is going to go to Jacopo Sigoli. Guy Leach and Paul Mansell, the two teammates, are going to finish 13th and 14th, with Marcin Silvassi and Ross Rizzo going to finish 15th and 16th. Carlos Dieguez 17th, Clint Shane Smith in 18th, Wayne Bork in 19th, and John Roberts going to round out your 20 car field that finished just the one DNF today, and that was Darrell Carter. And we are going to show you a replay of the start incident. Would you like to take us through that, Tobias?
I don't actually. I think it very was a problem of tire pressure, concentration, and just the track temperature, which was pretty low.
Well, you can see it on your screens at the moment. You are looking at the 5th place starter. That was the driver of Carlos Dieguez, the 999 machine. Lovely slow motion here, you can see. Just looks as though there was a little bit of contact between the two, and around they went. Luca Fianferranti and Carlos Dieguez, his teammate, having to put on a good avoiding manoeuvre. Fianferranti picking up that damage and a heavy contact for Carlos Dieguez as they go through that corner. So that was the 3rd bit of contact we saw. He waits for everyone to go past, and then we get going again. You can see coming out of that final corner once again, just looks as though everyone had a nice clean start up to this point, running side by side through turn number 1. Obviously not much room to get yourself sorted. Luca Fianferranti, you can see, running that very tight inside line, and actually maybe closing the door just a little bit too early.
I think, yeah, this was fine, but actually there, I think it was just a misunderstanding. He didn't see the line the 999 was taking at this point, was a little bit too fast, and then just touched the rear, and yeah, it happens.
Just an unfortunate incident we do sometimes see in racing. We are going to step aside for a few moments as we get ready for race number 2 here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Do stick around. We will be back for race number 2 from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerrick at the line.
When I sat in the car, you know, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshields at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
This is the important one. This is the race that decides where you start for race number 3, where the points will be awarded. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for round number 5 of the International GT3 Championship. Jack Stiles alongside Tobias Brockman, Paul Smith on the cameras for you today. Tobias, we saw an action-packed race 1. I expect exactly the same from race number 2.
It was awesome. We had really good fights in the midfield and in the end of the field. But John Piesnik, he took P1 in the qualifying, then lost the car, went back to P5, but got itself back on P4 after he got waved through. Yeah, they don't want to fight in race 1, but now it's gonna be even more hard, more interesting, and more action.
Well, the weather conditions were just up on your screen. It's 25 degrees Celsius, 41 degrees on the track temperature because we have clear skies, blue skies. Practice is just going to be bringing itself to a close, and we'll be able to take you down to your starting grid. Alessandro Bacalego is going to be taking the pole after his race 1 win. Dave Norfolowski going to be lining up in second position with Reese Gukel third and his teammate alongside John Piesnik in fourth. Kenny Rooson's in fifth. Paul Darling lining up sixth with the driver of Hugo Preto, and Brad Watson going to be making up row number 4. Row number 5, Ricardo Ferreira and Carl Raper. In 11th position, Luca Fioravanti in 12th. Jacopo Sigoli, Guy Leach and Paul Mansell going to be lining up 13th and 14th. Martin Silvassi and Ross Rizzo 15th and 16th. Carlos Dieguez, after that awful race number 1, going to be starting in 17th. Alongside him is going to be Clint Shane Smith. Wayne Bork going to be starting in 19th. John Roberts in 20th and Daryl Carter in 21st. And of course, same process again, Tobias. 1 lap, warm up, and then we will be racing.
I really hope they keep themselves together and on the track and really watch out around. To have the spatial awareness of other cars around, it's very important, because on this track with the high-speed corners, with turn number 1, with Clayton, with Quebec, you blast through all the way down to Moss. and you really have to watch out that the car keeps stable, because you come into a turn 4 is actually it's not that good, and it's an elevation change, right? It get higher down to turn 5, right? And the thing is, right now we see Alessandro Baccalega here at P1, but the question is, can he again do a lead like before? With 2 seconds was very, very comfortable, but David Nowakovsky, he's of course trying to get to P1 since he wants to start with a gap behind and nobody in front in race 3, where it actually counts and where the points get awarded. Also, I think John Piesnik, he's not done yet. He will want to try to get in front, and also Brett Watson, you can expect something from him, some action, and I think also Luca Fioravanti is now trying to get in front.
Well, Luca will not have the same disadvantage that he did in race 1 with the damage that he had to that 336 that he picked up on the first lap. I think these drivers will be taking forward a couple of lessons into race number 2, knowing that that second corner is very tight. You've got to be very careful, and just the smallest of contact can take 4 or 5 drivers out of this event. So for Alessandro Baccalega, for him, as he rounds through that very tricky Moss corner, the drivers will have to go through there one behind another. It's very difficult to go too wide through there. You have to be very careful not to hit anyone. We do have an instant limit in force today, 46 instants, although I wouldn't expect to see anyone hit that at any point in this event.
Yeah, they look away a lot in this series, which is kind of good, but you still get the post-race race control, where they really go through the penalties and all the stuff that wasn't good. We saw penalty limit reached in race 3 or race 2 was a lot, but here not even here.
And well, as the field head into the S's to get ready to start the second race of the International GT3 Championship, the pace car will pull itself onto the pit lane, and the field will be under the control of Alessandro Baccalega, as it indeed does. Baccalega holds up the field just a little bit, pounces out of the final corner. We are racing, we are green here at RaceSpot for round number 2.
And it looks like he has a very good lead right now. The start was very well done from him, getting his nose down, getting the foot down. Now we have to watch out. The midfield is very close together again, and getting down to Clayton and Quebec, this will be a challenge for them, because we saw what happened next time. This time it works.
Already got a car around. That's Hugo Preto. Sorry, Tobias. There's a car off on the outside to try and avoid him. So Hugo Preto, did he spin on his own, or was there contact? There was contact. That was with an Audi R8. That was with the driver of Brad Watson. Very slight contact between the two. I believe it was just the one car involved in that one, but a very unlucky incident.
Yeah, let's see what happened here. He's going there. Oh, this is very close. It was the same thing actually as the race before. Not quite, but still. Going too wide there when you don't expect the other to be on your left is pretty hard.
There was a second car off as well. There was a reason why the number 5 headed to the grass of Paul Mansell, and that was because he made contact, by the looks of it, with Carlos Dieguez, and while Wayne Borg went down to the inside, replay up on your screen at the moment, made slight contact with Carlos as well, and he's hard into that tyre wall on the outside of that second corner. So once again, second corner on the first lap, taking lots of prisoners.
Yeah, and Wayne Borg also gave up on this race, so he will be not starting in front, but in the very end for the next race.
Yeah, that's not where he wants to be going into the race. That's going to be awarding points, but for Alessandro Baccalega, good start from him. He's got a 0.7 of a second advantage over David Gunowski. So your top 10 so far looking pretty unchanged. There is a little bit more down towards the rear of it, a little bit more battling going on. The current car in 10th position is Luca Fioravanti. Ricardo Ferreira looking like he wants to get his way past Paul Darling and make his way up a few more spots.
It's very, very close together, and we see Luca Fioravanti. He's pressuring us, and there's a car off on the left, and
that's Piesnik.
Piesnik again. Piesnik is really, really stressing right now. He's stressed right now. He's under pressure, and he has to keep the car in there. But as you said before, the McLaren is very loose and a very unforgiving car.
It's not a mistake he wanted to make. That's going to drop him back to 8th position in your field now. He's trying to get the move done on Ricardo Ferreira into the S's this time. Further ahead, Paul Darling and Brad Watson going to be going side by side. The same for John Peasnick and Riccardo Ferreira. Here comes Luca Fioravanti on Carl Raper. Very close to contact between the two, but Raper's got the inside line for the final corner. There's then going to be contact between Fioravanti and Guy Leach. Both of them managed to keep it on the black stuff where they need to keep it. So lots of action in your mid-pack at the moment. Guy Leach looking into turn number 1 with Ross Rizzo behind. Rizzo having a pretty poor day actually today, not being where he wants to be. He's not even in the top 10. He's usually fighting for some of the top positions.
But he actually made up 4 spots already. He finished race 1 on 16th, and he's now on 12th again. So it's not the baddest thing which can happen to you, but not the best as well.
Guy Leach still looking to try and get his way around the SRT sports car of Luca Fioravanti, who in turn is trying to get past the driver of Carl Raper, currently on board with the 46, the VR46 racing machine. Obviously teammate to Paul Mansell, inspired by the Doctor, Valentino Rossi, and that's actually, this is one of the things that we've said before in this series, Tobias, and I'm going to say it again, that is an absolutely cracking livery.
I love it. It's awesome. When you see the rear of the car, it's just beautiful. It's art, actually. And that is what people forget. Livery is art.
Livery is indeed art. Some of the best ones out there can pull off some absolutely cracking paint jobs, obviously, even if it's a one-off. We saw the Pink Pig at Le Mans this year. It's something that you probably won't ever see again from Porsche as they head through that final corner for the 3rd time. On to lap number 4. So it's going to be another 13-lap race here for Alessandro Baccalega. He's already got 1.4 seconds over the 2nd place driver, Dave Nowołowski. He is comfortable up at the front of this field. And so far, the drivers who can actually challenge him, the likes of John Peasnick, are stuck in the mid-pack, trying to get their way back up through the field.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck behind Ferreira right now, and he's also stuck behind Paul Darling, and this continues on up to P2. So Baccalega is really relaxed right now. He has to keep it for himself, but he has to concentrate as well and do not drift off with thoughts, otherwise the car will drift off as well.
And you can tell that the driver of Luca Fioravanti isn't happy as he muscles his way through. Last corner on the driver of Carl Raper. He's going to be followed through by Guy Leach and Ross Rizzo, so this has really put Carl on the back foot. He's going to lose 3 positions in one corner. Can Ross Rizzo also get a move done on Guy Leach? We'll have to wait and see if the yeses this time. You can tell they weren't happy coming through that corner. Will they go 3 wide? We're not sure. Rizzo to the outside. Not going to be able to get a move done this time. So for Carl Raper, though, losing 3 positions in the matter of one corner.
Yeah, this is very disappointing, but they did it right. They kept behind Ferreira, and they kept behind Fioravanti, and like this, they could just use the space like they were one car actually passing.
Yeah, just one very long car consisting of essentially 3 Mercedes AMG GT3s, and you can see the replay up on the screen and how effortless they just went past. Wonder whether the car was just thinking, well, I'm not going to bother trying to battle these guys because I know that it could end in disaster. You can see how squirrely they were coming through the S's that time. Back to live pictures now. Still looking at that 570. Can he make any more moves this time around? We will have to wait and see. Further ahead, John Peasnick, Riccardo Ferreira. John Peasnick very loose that time on the curbs, showing that the McLaren is susceptible to that oversteer, and that is very, very dangerous. So for John Peasnick, he is working his way through Moss Corner this time, but cannot find his way past the championship leader. This is essentially a battle for the championship lead as John Peasnick almost on the grass there. You can see the speed in the bottom right-hand side of your corner, powered by ATVO, our official graphics partner for RaceSpotTV, and John Peasnick nice and easy pass using that straight line speed of the McLaren.
Yeah, he doesn't even really want to fight back that hard. Don't risk damage, just keep it together. And when he stays with, whoa, big slide, and Peasnick goes off again. Something
is not right for John Peasnick. Whether it's the setup or whether it's just the track conditions here at Mosport, he's not comfortable in that McLaren, is he?
No, not really. The car's jumpy all around already. You saw that in Moss. And now when you see him coming through that last turn, goes back to 4th. Oh no, it's not last turn, sorry. It's the S's. So he comes through the S's, still pretty stable, still pretty good, a little bit jumpy here. But then he just lost it.
Yeah, and it's not something you see very often, especially as Jacopo Sigoli looking like he's having a few technical issues. So another driver going to be suffering here today. John Peasnick very aggressive, and I wonder whether that's hindering him slightly. He's now under pressure from the driver of, is that Martin Silvassi? No, it's not. It is. He's lost even more position since he crossed the line. That it is indeed Martin Silvassi, I believe. No, it's Clint Shane Smith, sorry.
Let me see. Yeah, it's Clint Smith. But it's very. I mean, they change positions so fast you can't really keep up right now.
Yeah, that is one issue that you do have to watch out for, especially when it's a short race like this one, just 7 minutes remaining, so we're already halfway into the second race here at Mosport. And again, Alessandro Baccalega, nice and easy up at the front, already got a 2-second lead.
Yeah, the 2-second lead, again, very comfortable, but Clint Smith just got overtaken and is now slot in behind Daryl Carter, who's having a better race right now than just race 1.
You can see the top 8 standings on your screen at the moment. You can see the gap for the lead is slowly expanding. You can see that the mid-pack is very close from 3rd to 8th. It's only covered by 5 seconds. That isn't that much. So for Luca Viavaranti, he is trying to make his way through on some of these cars, but he's not able to. Battle on your screen at the moment is between the drivers of Guy Leach and Ross Rizzo. This is the battle for position number 9. The Truck Sim Sport driver of Ross Rizzo. He's up from 16th, so he's up 6 positions. And he is indeed your biggest mover and shaker so far today, alongside Daryl Carter, who's currently in 15th, riding on board with Ross this time as they head down the back straight. The 784 machine is not going to be close enough to make a move this time.
No, of course not. But what you can see now, the battles, the time deltas, they're getting bigger. Because the track is very much a lot hotter, like 12 degrees maybe. But you can see it affects a lot of the people. I don't think that everyone has like a hot setup.
Yeah, obviously the key is going to be slightly different in the warmer weather, and you're not only going to make the car work in the colder weather that we see in race 1 and 3, but also in the warmer weather. Ross Rizzo closer through turn number 1 this time. You can see Guy Leach, he's taking slightly different lines. Ross Rizzo is actually trying to follow him to try and get that draft, slight tap of the brakes from the 784 to make sure he can get to the apex nice and easy. You can see the elevation changes here on that onboard camera. You can see how much these drivers are having to work, and that setup has got to be spot on to deal with those elevation changes.
Yeah, when you just look at the track map, it looks like a pretty easy track actually, apart from Moss. But when you see now here on the on-roof cam, the Moss isn't that easy. You come up on the car, the rear gets actually pretty loose, and I think this was also the problem that Piesnik was having.
Yeah, that Moss corner is not easy as we ride on board with Carl Raper. He's had an issue through that section. Let's have a look, looking at the replay now. He was in 11th position, he's dropped down to 14th, so where there's been a contact with another car, we see Carlos Dieguez trying to go down to the inside. The Follow Me Esports driver not going to be able to get a move done. It's going to be in that double right-hander that you said earlier on at the top of the show, Tobias, that's very difficult. Yes, he just ran wide. He's done a very similar thing to what John Piesnik did earlier on.
Yeah, he just got carried to the outside. There was no chance to catch it with that speed.
No, and I think the car just pushed out wide. Currently on your screen, the battle for second position. David Nowoski and Reese Gukil. Gukil has been faster the last 2 times around, so within half a second, so he could potentially make a move on the Triton Racing machine. The Triton Racing driver does not have a teammate here today. He is running solo. For Reese Gukil, he does have a teammate. That's John Piesnik. He's currently down 13th. Yeah,
and Nowakovsky, as you just saw, the lap times are dropping a little bit off right now. Because in lap 6 he did his best time 1:16.072. Then it was a .276, 287. So there might be a chance to for Gukil to get that second position.
You never know, he might have the opportunity. Just 3 laps remaining in this race number 2. Race number 3 will be coming your way straight after this one in around 15-20 minutes time, but of course that is going to be a slightly longer one, 20 minutes, and it is the only race that will be awarded points. If you've only just joined us, you are watching RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live, covering round number 5 of the International GT3 Championship from Canadian Tire and Motorsport Park, deep in Ontario, Canada. My name is Jack Stiles. Alongside me is Tobias Backman, making his debut here at RaceSpotTV. Just thought I'd point that out to make him feel a little bit better. And currently on your screen, John Piesnik trying to make his way past Martin Silvassi.
Yeah, Piesnik isn't very happy today. He started on P1 in race 1, got carried back to 5, made it back to 4th, started in 4th this race, and is now back to 13th, and he's not getting that much faster, getting held up by Silvassi a little bit here.
Yeah, Silvassi's got to be careful not to lose too much time to John Piesnik. Like, all the guys ahead of him, the driver ahead of him is Carlos Dieguez. He's a very capable driver for Follow Me Esports, but for John Piesnik, he's been struggling all day with that McLaren, and I wonder whether it's just... it's the only one in the field, and it's not suited to this circuit.
No, Absolutely not. I hope to see more of this car actually, because I like the McLaren since it's so rare on track, even in all the other series I actually see. But it's a nice car when you can handle it, but if it makes problems, then it's just utter chaos driving it.
And you can see the battle for 5th position on your screen. Paul Darling for following the Esports Red, trying to get his way past the driver of Brad Watson. But he's also under... No, sorry, that was Ricardo Ferreira. That's the two teammates getting past one another. Let's see how this happened. You're looking at the replay currently on your screen. Did Darling just get nipped into the S's? I believe he did. So Ricardo Ferreira down to the inside. Nice and easy move. And Darling has nothing to answer. The two teammates, nice and clean pass. And for Ricardo Ferreira, that's going to really help his championship. Seems as John Piesnik at the moment is going to be starting race 3 in 13th.
Yeah, John Piesnik is very not happy. We're still on him. And on screen right now you have Luca Fioranti in the SRT Esports yellow Mercedes. Pretty nice car. Yeah,
they beautiful livery actually for that SRT Esports yellow machine. You can see him as they run out of Moss Corner. He has picked up a little bit of damage. But for Paul Darling, looks as though he's just keeping it nice and steady. That's what he needs to do. Get himself. All he's thinking is, in a minute's time, I can be in a nice position for the start of race 3 as Alessandro Bacalega rounds through the S's. He's going to take the white flag this time, so just one more lap remaining in this event. You can see on your screens that's the battle for 13th position. Now, sorry, Color Raper getting himself past Daryl Carter, is that? No, it's not. That's another driver who's had an issue. I believe that's Martin Silvassi. Silvassi's dropped back a bit now.
Yeah, he's on P12 and he's fighting right now with his car, not only with the other cars but also with himself a little bit. His lap times are dropping off. You see turn 1 not that fast, so what kind of issues is he having? Maybe the tires.
Maybe it is the tires indeed. You're currently looking at your leader. This will be the final lap of the race. So Alessandro Bacalega rounding through turn number 5 this time. Turn number 2 as well. We've got another car having issues by the looks of it as Paul Darling is in the wall. There's an SRT Esports car going very slowly as well, I believe. That is Luca Fioranti. He has picked up a lot of damage. I wonder how that's happened. So all happening here on the last lap. Fioranti and Paul Darling. There's a reason why those two have got damage when Paul Darling was in a wall. They've hit each other. And for Alessandro Bacalega, the white flag indeed has flown. He currently rounds through the S's for the final time. Going to be coming through White's corner. He's going to make it 2 out of 2 so far today for SRT Esports and that driver. So good championship points haul. He's going to cross the line and win race number 2 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Your top 3 is actually going to be exactly the same as it was last time out. David Nowowski, Rusku Kill and Kenny Rusin going to be making up 1 position to finish 4th, but all happening on the final lap there.
Yeah, the final lap was really hard here now and a mess a little bit. Let's see the replay again, what happened to Paul Darling here. So we see the car, okay, outside of the track, nice. So here it comes around, the 155 going down there. Oh, he went a little bit wide, lost a little bit of speed. Yeah, he lost a little bit of speed, went outside and just clipped the rear. Oh, that's very unfortunate for both of them. He just clipped the rear of the other car, did a pit maneuver, and turned both of them off in the last lap.
Yeah, unfortunate for those two. They are going to have to start from 16th and 18th. So 16th for Luca Fioranti and 18th for Paul Darling. We will now take you down to race number 2 and the finishing positions that we saw here today. Alessandro Bacalega once again taking the win here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park by 2.2 seconds over David Nowowski. Reese Gukil can finish in 3rd, Kenny Rusin's in 4th, Brad Watson in 5th, Ricardo Ferreira in 6th, Guy Leach 7th, Ross Rizzo 8th, Carlos Dieguez in 9th, and John Piesnik managing to make his way back into the top 10. 11th is going to go to Carl Raper and 12th to Martin Silvassi, 13th to Clint Shane-Smith and 14th to Daryl Carter, 15th for Paul Mansell and 16th to Luca Fioranti, who we saw on that final lap having the incident with Paul Darling, who finished in 18th. John Roberts is going to finish in the middle of them in 17th. Hugo Preto in 19th. He's going to be a non-finisher. Jacopo Sigoli, another non-finisher, and Wayne Burke, who didn't even manage to get through the first lap. He's going to round out your 21 car field. We are going to once again step aside here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live, and we will be back for race number 3 in around 10 minutes time. Do stick around.
The car behind me is my Chili Bowl midget, the one that I won the Chili Bowl with. And what's interesting about that is it's actually the car that iRacing scanned that's going to be available to all the iRacing members out there.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero.
Hey, what's up guys? Scott Speed here at the iRacing headquarters. Some exciting news about the upcoming Rallycross World Championship. They've got a wild card entry, and yours truly is gonna get that spot. See you guys out on the track.
This is where the handbags come out, where everything is for points. Race number 3 of round 5 of the International GT3 Championship from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We are back. We have transitioned into late afternoon. It's very similar conditions, but back down to a cooler track temperature with the 20-minute race coming your way. It's going to be around a 15-16 lap race. Jack Stiles alongside Tobias Brockman, and we are joined by a special guest for the 3rd installment of this broadcast, Mr. David Haynes. Good afternoon.
Hello guys, good to be here. Very excited for this third race. This is a very interesting series, so I'm glad to be on it. And we've got this lovely, lovely mix of Australian drivers, of European drivers, and you know, we don't often see them mix in other series, so it's great to see where the Australian competition and the European competition measure up to each other.
Well, obviously looking forward to this third race to be, as we have seen some incidents. Turn 2 on lap 1 seems to be a favourite for these drivers. Would you expect to see a very similar thing in race 3?
I think no, most of them should know that on Clayton you really have to watch out where you take your line. It's gonna happen anyway.
Well, there is your lap 1 predictions from Mr. Brockman. We will have an incident on the first lap. We've had it so far today on the first one, so we expect to see a similar thing. And well, David, I know you watched the second race. Who would be your pick to take the top points out of the third one?
Oh, I'm very much leaning towards Novakovsky. I want to see him have a good race. I saw him during the Spa 24 hours also in this Audi R8, and very competent team, very competent driver. I think it's possible that he could get it done.
And well, before we head down to the starting grid, let's give a quick shout out to everyone who gets it done here at RaceSpotTV. That goes to our cameras are provided by TrackCams22.com and Istvan Balau. Our overlay is designed by Anvern Design, who also designed Valtteri Bottas's Formula 1 helmet for this year. The engineering behind the overlay is from Simon Grossman and AppEngineering.com, and live timing and scoring is as always provided by Nick Stisson and is available over at RaceSpotTV/timing. The drivers are heading down towards the grid, and we can show you how they will be lining up for race number 3. Alessandro Baccalega once again takes the pole with David Nowoski alongside Reece Goodkill. Kenny Rooson's going to be starting on row number 2. Row number 3 is going to be Brad Watson and Ricardo Ferreira. Row number 4, Gail Leach, Ross Rizzo, and then Carlos Dieguez and John Peasnick going to be rounding out your top 10. Carl Raper, Martin Silvassi in 11th and 12th, Clint Shainesmith, Darrell Carter 13th and 14th with Paul Mansell, and Luca Fioravanti after that last lap incident in race number 2, starting in 16th. John Robertson 17th, Paul Darling in 18th, Hugo Prado, his teammate, in 19th, Jacopo Sigoli starting 20th, and Wayne Burke starting in 21st. And well, David, first of all to you, these drivers have to be really careful in this slightly longer race, because they know that if they lose anything here, it's lost points in the championship.
Yeah, I think after what we saw in the first race and the second race, those guys are sort of jostling for position then. But now, you know, when the points are paid and we've got the last race, I think some of them will be a little bit more careful, but maybe not too much. I think the gloves will still be off.
And to you, Tobias, obviously, the incidents that we've seen so far, these drivers do need to be a little bit more careful in this race. Who do you reckon will be the driver who takes away the top position here today?
If I've got to be honest, I think the race might be ending like it did before with Baccalega, Novakovsky and Gucciol. It can change since now it's for the points. Maybe Novakovsky is pushing it a little bit harder.
And David, same from you. What are your predictions for this race?
Well, I've already thrown my money behind Novakovsky, but you know, Ross Rizzo is the reigning Oceanic Sprint champion in these GT3 cars, not this series, but the Australian series. And so he knows his way around a GT3 machine, but he's just not quite hooking it up with that Mercedes here. I think he could move up some positions, but I think the win might be too far away for him from 8th place.
And while we have one driver who hasn't taken to the starting grid, that's Hugo Prado. He is going to have to start from the pit lanes. That promotes Jacopo Sigoli up into 20th and Wayne Bork into 21st position, meaning they get a little bit more of a jump. Your whole field is currently coming down that back stretch, and they will be able to take the green flag. Once again, the field will be under the control of Alessandro Baccalega. It goes green very quickly here at Mosport, so these drivers have to be on the ball straight away, and we are going to take you into some RaceSpotTV fan immersion for the start. Everyone looking as though they survived turn 2 in race number 3, so all of the drivers off to a nice and clean start. Hugo Prado has indeed started this race from the pits, and for Wayne Bork, he has lost some positions by the looks of it. Paul Darling getting a pretty poor start. We've got a car off at the turn at number 5. That's the 570. That's Carl Raper. Take us through what's happened to Pierce.
Yeah, he just saved it from the wall. I didn't really see right now since I was on another car, but let's see what's happened right here. Carl Raper, he was going down the turn, and I think, yeah, he just lost it. It's the elevation changes. Now I get the word right, finally. But he just keeps it off the wall, which might be luck for him, but he just slid back to the pits.
And while you can see the battle for the lead at the moment, Alessandro Baccalega has not been able to get away as he did in race number 2. Contact behind, that's Kenny Roosens in the wall. He's had contact by the looks of it from the driver of Brad Watson. That's a very hard contact, and it should make, well, that looks as though, looking back from Kenny Roosens now, you can see it here, coming through that final corner. A little bit of a tap from Brad Watson there, David, and into the wall he goes.
Yeah, it's just really upset the car as he's loading into the putting the power down on the straight, and he's gone into the inside wall and then ricocheted across the track. Very lucky no one else has hit him while Kenny Roosens was going across the track.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It's there. You can see it again, once again, from the rear, looking rearwards. Hard incident in the wall, and as you said, David, very lucky not to collect anyone else. David Nowołowski, battle for the lead. He's closer than he has been in race number 2. So can he be able to make a move? Maybe it won't be Baccalega taking the win. Maybe David was right. Will someone else be able to take the win, or will Baccalega make it 3 for 3 here as they round through the S's for the second time? And you can just see that at the moment, Nowołowski not going to be pressuring too much. He does have to be careful for Reese Guckel just behind. A very capable driver, but Ricardo Ferreira, your championship leader, we know he's fast, and by the looks of it, wasn't very quick in practice though. John Peasnick getting the fastest time in practice.
John Peasnick right now, I think, got the control back over the McLaren. I mean, the track temps are down now. The tires are working better with the track. They're not sliding as much. They're not losing rubber as fast. And I think the colder temperatures, they suit the McLaren way better. But I also think it's a pretty loose setup that Peasnick is running. He already made up 2 spots from the start.
Yeah, and that loose setup will play into his advantage quite well, because it means that he can work his way up through the field a little bit more. Battle on your screen at the moment is between Ricardo Ferreira, Guy Leach, and Carlos Dieguez. Guy Leach is in a bit of a sandwich, a Follow Me Esports sandwich. It's not one that you probably want to be in for too long. And Carlos Dieguez, he's had a pretty poor day today. He will be wanting to make up some positions, David.
Yep, Carlos Dieguez and John Peasnick both up 2 positions from where they started. Ross Rizzo down 1 place, but for the top 3, they hold their starting positions.
And of course, looking through the S's this time, Carlos Dieguez goes to go running outside. He's got the inside line for the final corner. That leaves Guy Leach on the outside. That leaves Ross Rizzo opposite, or John Peasnick as they make contact. A chance to come through. Ross Rizzo going to be nice and reserved on that one. Going to let these 2 fight it out. John Peasnick to the inside through turn number 1. Nice and easy pass for him. Ross Rizzo next for Guy Leach. Martin Silvassi, Ross Rizzo's teammate. 2 Trick Sim Sport drivers behind. One of the Australian teams that are always very, very fast, David. I mean, you'll probably know a lot about the Australian side of iRacing, since you are an Aussie.
Yep, Trick Sim Sport, very well known in the Australian GT series, also in the VRS V8 Scops Championship, and it's sort of surprising to see them struggling here.
Yeah, it's a lot more. It's a team that usually are up at the front. I said this earlier. Ross Rizzo is a driver who is very capable. He's having a bit of a bad day today. I wonder whether some of these drivers are just struggling with the circuits though, to this.
Yeah, the circuit isn't. It's a very fun one actually. I like it very much as well. It's really, really fast, but it's also really, really tough. As you said, elevation changes all the way, and car gets loose every time, and you really break into a turn for Moss, and then it gets uphill. It's very tricky to not only be fast but also consistent here, and then you still have to fight with other people.
Yeah, that fighting with other people is very important. It's got to be nice and clean. We've got 14 minutes remaining in this race. We're past the 25% stage. Battle for your leads up on your screen. Alessandro Baccalega and David Nowołowski, half a second between the two. Baccalega has not had the pace to get away in this race so far, David. And I wonder whether Nowołowski and Rhys Guckel have turned around and gone, well, we know that we can keep up with him. Let's put the pressure on and try and get some spots and some more points.
Yeah, the pace is very, very close between these top three of Baccalega, Nowołowski and Gasol. Nowołowski with the fastest lap of the race at the moment, but only by half a tenth he closed down Baccalega that lap.
And indeed so, and that's all he needs to do, those lap times. At the moment, David Nowołowski has the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 14.020, compared to Alessandro Baccalega's 1 minute 14.055. And it is very close on lap times, these top three. Brad Watson has nothing to answer to them. You can see on your screen at the moment John Peasnick battling with Guy Leach. Guy Leach makes a little bit of contact with the rear end of John Peasnick. Here comes Ross Rizzo. Can he make advantage? Is it going to go 3 wide into turn number 1? Guy Leach trying to look to the outside. Ross Rizzo looking to the inside of Guy Leach. Going to be able to maybe make the move done, maybe not. So handbags coming out at the moment, David, and I wonder whether that's going to be a case of, if these drivers are not careful, that could cause an incident.
Yeah, a close quarter and panel to panel, but John Peasnick is very, very quick in this early stage. I think what we see with the McLaren is that it's a quick car that can't look after its tyres. He'll have to be thinking about that, thinking about maybe his rear tyre temperatures, so that that car survives the remaining 13 minutes of this race.
Yeah, obviously it's a slightly longer race, and the sprint setups are made to be the fact that you use all the tyre possible side by side through Moss Corner. One of the SRT eSports car going to be making up position. That's Luca Fioravanti, I believe, getting his way past Martin Silvassi, so he's moved himself back up into 10th. He's up 6 positions now on where he started in this race. Paul Darling calling it a day here. I wonder what's happened to him for Willoughby Esports. He had an awful end to race number 2, and he hasn't even finished race number 3. David.
Yeah, and Ross Rizzo at the moment defending from Clint Shane Smith. It's just not going Ross Rizzo's way.
No, and it looks as though Paul Darling just had a few issues with his car. And, well, he has entered himself into the pit lane. Battle on your screen is, of course, this one between the drivers of Paul Mansell and Clint Smith. Smith holding on for the moment. A team change, actually, for Clint Smith for this round. He's joined Torrent Motorsports, obviously after running under his own team name for the start of the season. So he's doing well up in 12th. He's had a nice consistent championship so far, Tobias, and well, if he can get a nice points haul from today, he's in a good position going forward into the next round.
Yeah, that is very, very true. The next round is gonna be not too far away. Actually, it's the Twin Ring Motegi GP on the 11th of August. Same time as usual, but this time a normal sprint race, so no super sprint, just 2 races.
Yeah, it's just the 2 races, 2 half-an-hour races. You can see the remaining races up on the screen at the moment. Twin Ring Motegi will be a sprint race, which means that the drivers will have 2 half-an-hour races. The top 14 will be reversed for the second race. Then we head to Belle Isle, the streets of Detroit. That is going to be a 1-hour race, and I must say, David, that circuit is absolutely incredible. Having broadcasted it in the Classic IndyCar Series and also driven it in a GT3 series that I run in with our producer Paul Smith, it's a very, very challenging circuit, and in these GT3 machineries it will be very interesting to watch.
Yep, tune in for that one. No matter what car you take to Belle Isle, you're going to get some action. There's bumps, there's blind corners, there's some great overtaking places, and it's a beautiful, beautiful looking track to bring some race cars to as well.
Current battle on your screen is between Martin Silvassi and Luca Fioravanti. Fioravanti running very wide into turn number 5, just about getting it stopped for turn number 6 by the looks of it. And while that 3.6 second gap, he has been quicker over the last 3 laps. He lost 1/1000th of a second 2 laps ago. So for Martin Silvassi, clearly hasn't got much to answer to the SRT driver of Fioravanti.
Now at the moment, there is not that much what you can do right now. But what I'm seeing in the front is that Nowołowski kind of let off a little bit, now being apart 1 second behind Baccalega. But what I just noticed in the practice, so in the warm-up, they did the exact same lap time of 1:14.142. So you see these drivers are capable of doing decent lap times. but there is the concentration issue, the stress issue to really stay behind Bacalega here. But Bacalega, he's so chill, he's just driving. He doesn't care what's happening behind right now.
And you can see the Battlefield lead currently up on your screen. David Nowoski lost 4/10 on lap number 7. And that means that Alessandro Bacalega has all of a sudden had an opportunity to now get a second to the good over the Triton Racing machine, but he's also now been left in the clutches of Reese Kukiel. These guys are still running 1, 2 and 3. We have a car off. That's John Roberts. He was running in 16th. He's gone off. He's had a spin through turn number 2. Replay up on your screen now. Just turning in. A little bit too much speed by the looks of it there, David.
Yeah, I don't have the replay up on my screen, but it's a tricky track here, and these guys have got to have full commitment and full concentration through every single corner.
Yeah, once again, looking back to your battle for second position, riding on board with Reese Kukiel, the Element Motorsport BMW Z4 GT3 as they round through the final corner for the 9th time. 8 laps remaining in this race now. We're going to be looking at 18-lap race by the looks of things. 4/10 between himself and David Nowoski. But David Nowoski does look like he's got a little bit more of an advantage on lap times. Reese was quicker by 2/10 on lap number 7. That was where Nowakovsky lost all that time. But off his number 6 as well. Currently going on Piesnik very wide through turn number 2. Losing a lot of time to Carlos Dieguez and his teammate of Ricardo Ferreira there, Tobias.
Yeah, but Piesnik is doing better than in both races before, since actually he didn't lose, but he gained places. Now running on the 7th position, trying to get Dieguez, but it's not working out that much. You can just hope that Ferraro will hold him up, and that he can just slot in a line when he's doing an arrow in front.
And that's not really what you want to see. You can see further behind 8th and 9th, Guy Leach and Martin Silvassi with Luca Fioravanti behind. As the lovely static camera shows the speed that these cars will be bringing into the S's section. Nice and close in the mid-pack. Your lead battle has once again extended by the looks of things. 1.15 seconds now. To the good is Alessandro Bacalega, and David Nowoski has now lost that draft advantage. And for Reese Kukiel, he's now left in the clutches, although Martin Silvassi in the 074 looking like he's trying to put the pressure on Guy Leach. Tobias.
Pressure is really hard. Guy Leach is more looking in the rearview mirror than he is at the apexes of the track. You see the car, even though it's planted as we noted before, it's still moving around a lot. So I think he's running a looser setup than he did before. And I love this scene. You can just see how the cars are taking different lines, but they're all equally fast, so it might work out as like different setups, different lines, and especially going down to Moss, it's very important to get the braking points right.
Well, Luca Fioravanti late on the brakes, getting very close to the rear end of Martin Silvassi there. Will he be able to get a run out onto the straight? We will have to wait and see. You can see it, the elevation over the top of the hill, and I wonder whether he's close enough to make a move into the S's. Currently still sat in the draft. Silvassi has the inside line, the defensive line for the first half. Fioravanti looking to the outside, looking to the inside. John Piesnik as well, looking to try and get his way up into position number 5. Not going to be able to get it done. Look at Fioravanti, same position. It looks as though Martin Silvassi just shut the door too late. John Piesnik, though, to the two Follow Me Esports cars ahead. You can see them running on board with David Nowoski. Now, what's happened to Alessandro Bacalega? He's lost a lot of time on that previous lap. David.
Yeah, 1 minute 15, that is going on 8/10 off his previous lap times, and now the battle well and truly on for the top 3. And I love seeing these 3 different models of car just inseparable on track, very well balanced, but each holding on to their own characteristics. It's one of the things we love about GT3 racing.
And David Nowoski taking a slightly different line through 5 and 6 that time. But it just looks as though the AMG grunt out of the corner is going to be helping Alessandro Bacalega. He's just got 5.5 minutes to remain in the lead of this race. In the background, you can see John Piesnik has not been able to make any moves on the Follow Me Esports drivers. And then once again, it looks as though Guy Leach, in fact, has managed to pull himself away from Martin Silvassi just a little bit, leaving in the clutches of Luca Fioravanti, John Piesnik, Carlos Dieguez, Ricardo Ferreira into the S's for the 12th time. Piesnik looking to the inside, but Dieguez looking to the inside of his teammate. Piesnik on the curb, losing time, 2 wheels in the air, getting slightly loose in that McLaren, and you can just see how twitchy that car is there, Tobias.
Yeah, as I noted before, it's a loose car, but it can't really watch out after its tyres. And I think this time around, they're already pretty much used. So you lose a lot of time looking at his lap times, actually. They're dropping off slightly. His best lap was in lap 8, and it was 1:14.226, and now he's down to 1:14.866, and we have a car that has crashed.
We do indeed. That's Wayne Bork for Synergy Sim Racing. He got very loose out of the final corner. Very lucky not to take Jacopo Segoli with him. I think that's a sensible decision by Wayne there to just pull his car off to the side and retire.
Yeah, but I think the BMW still hit him a little bit, seeing the damage in front of the car. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, he went over the little bump that is in the middle of the track, overcorrected it, and slammed into the wall. Yeah, he touched the BMW a little bit.
Just a slight touch there. Battle for position number 2. Reese Gukill, David Nowoski. You can see it on your screens now. Gukill looks closer than he has been so far all race. Just 4 laps remaining in this race, David, and for David Nowoski, he hasn't got much time to be able to make a move into the race lead.
Yeah, one of the big advantages of that BMW is you can get just a little bit deeper on the brakes. Unfortunately, around here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, we really only have one big, deep braking zone. So he's sort of gonna have to be bold somewhere else if he wants to get that pass made up into second.
He will indeed. Reese Gukill looking like he cannot get a move done either. They're just currently settling down. You can see Brad Watson behind. Very lonely at the moment out on circuit. John Peasnick, Carlos Dieguez, and Ricardo Ferreira. That battle's expanded out a bit. Same with the Martin Silvassi's off as well. So, could this be an instant between himself and Luca Fiaferranti? I don't think so. Replay up on your screen now. You can see as they come through into Quebec corner. Just gets loose at the rear end there, Tobias, and not much that the 074 can do. He goes for a trip into the grass, has rejoined, but he is a long way down the field now, down in 14th position.
Yeah, I really...
Trick Sims... Oh, you go ahead, Tobias.
Okay, sorry. I think it's really the tyres that are right now, they're dropping off quite extremely, as we saw different cars, not just the McLaren fighting actually with the track, but also the Mercedes, who is said to be pretty planted on track.
And while your battle for 5th position, David, it's closed up once again. Can John Peasnick make a move in the last 3 laps? What do you reckon? He gets very close to turn 1 there.
Yeah, there's enough straight line speed in that McLaren, but he's going to have to be careful with those tyres, is John Peasnick. But if I was Carlos Dieguez, I'd be worried looking in my mirrors with John Peasnick behind. He's obviously a good driver, and this race has really come on song. He obviously learned from his mistakes in the first ones and pressing hard after that top 5 finish maybe.
You can see that over the last 2 laps, John Peasnick has been the faster driver over himself and Carlos Dieguez. So he has got an opportunity to find his way past as they exit Moss Corner for the 15th time. And out onto the straight they go once again. I don't think they're going to be able to make. He's going to be able to make much of a move.
There's a change for second place.
Has there been a change for second place? There has been a change for second place indeed. Whereabouts has this happened? David Nowoski slow off of Moss Corner by the looks of it. You can see the replay up on your screen. And he just pulls over to the side of the track and lets him through. What on earth happened there, Tobias? Do you reckon?
He just went to the pits actually. He's right now. He's in the pits, so I can't really. It might be.
I can only imagine he hasn't packed enough fuel because this is a longer race than the previous one. He might have just forgotten that he needed more fuel for this race.
Let's have a look. He has stopped at his pit box now. Yeah, it was fuel. How can you forget to refuel the car so you can get to the end? That means that Alessandro Baccalega, he's just got to survive the next lap and a half. And I don't think Reese Gukill, because he's more than a second behind. He hasn't got much time to challenge, but John Peasnick very close to the rear of Carlos Dieguez. Now, this is the battle we're going to have to watch in the remaining stages of this race now, David. Coming up into 5 and 6 for the penultimate time. Peasnick getting very close on the brakes. Oh, as he runs wide, almost. Manages to save it.
Very lucky to not go for a trip out over the grass there. He maybe got half of his outside wheels on the grass, and he manages still to turn it in. That McLaren throwing flames, but also the heat of this race is going up.
It is. You can see, once again, our speed graphic powered by ATVO. He's going to move to the outside. Carlos Dieguez has got the inside. Peasnick loose. Twitchy he goes in the McLaren. Out wide, and, well, not much he can do. He's now got challenge from Guy Leach. Closes the door. Slams the door almost. Luca Fiaferranti next. So, yeah, white flag flies. 1 to go here at Mosport. And that is going to be the end of our broadcast, or the end of the racing in about a minute and a half's time. So for John Peasnick, he's not having a good day in that very twitchy McLaren. But for Alessandro Baccalega, he did have a challenge from David Nowoski, who's currently fighting with Chicago. Okay, Segoli, they make contact through turn number 1. No, manages to keep it on the track, does Segoli, so not much action going on there, just a little bit maybe of a pump and pass for David Nowoski, but he is going to be agitated that he's just thrown away vital points. But for Alessandro Baccalega to be a nice and easy race for him, not much of a challenge from behind.
Yeah, that's actually true. He was just keeping his pace down, as though the gaps went a little bit closer than before. He still manages to keep his lines clean and just to keep his lap time steady. Apart from that 1:15 and a 1:14.4, he kept it in the low 1:14.2s.
And well, Alessandro Baccalega rounds through the final corner to take the checkered flag. Race number 3 is going to take all the full points away from round number 5. And he takes 3 for 3. An absolutely sterling job from the SRT Esports yellow machine. Reese Gukul going to finish in 2nd place. And Rad Watson going to round out your podium. And well, David, some very important lessons to be learned from that race, especially for the driver of Dave Nowoski.
Yeah, it's important to be a good driver, but it's also important to have a good race engineer who double checks those fuel levels and checks the race length. That was a very, very odd mistake from David Nowoski, and a very, very costly one.
You just saw the end of a battle between Martin Silvassi and Hugo Preto on your screen, as John Roberts is going to be the final car to round across the line. In fact, no, he's not. Clint Smith is going to be, as he rounds out the final corner, crosses the line. So that's all of your drivers now finished race number 3, and we can take you down to the finishing positions. It's 3 for 3 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for Alessandro Baccalega for the SRT Esports Yellow. He wins by 0.7 of a second over Reese Gukul. Brad Watson going to round out your podium. Ricardo Ferreira and Carlos Dieguez, the 2 Follow Me Esports teammates, going to finish 4th and 5th. John Piesnik just about holding on to 6th. Guy Leach in 7th. Luca Fioravanti in 8th. Ross Rizzo managing to come home in 9th. And Paul Mansell in 10th. David Nowoski, after running out of fuel in the closing stage, is going to be finishing in 11th. And Jacopo Segoli in 12th. Martin Silvassi in 13th. Hugo Preto 14th. Daryl Carter in 15th. And John Roberts 16th. Clint Smith going to round out your 17 car field, which finished Wayne Bork, Paul Darling, Kenny Rusens, and Carl Raper are going to be all the non-finishers from today. We will step aside for just a moment's time. We'll be back to round up on the 3 races of actions that we have seen so far. Do not go anywhere.
When I sat in the car, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by you're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshield's at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
Well, it's 3 for 3 for Alessandro Baccalega. He leaves Canadian Tire Motorsport Park full points for the championship. Before we go down to interview some of our drivers, we have been joined by the one and only Will Vincent. He has an announcement to make. Take it away, Will.
I'm spending Hugo's money again. We have got less than 100 subscribers to go until we hit the magical 10,000, which, as anyone will know who's talked to me, gives us the ability to basically go down to London, play around with all the YouTube facilities, and basically make a load of really cool content. So, I've decided that if we get to 10,000 subscribers by tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. GMT, I'll give $25 of our hard-earned money away.
Well, there we go. All you need to do is head over to our Facebook page. I believe it's like and share the post, and you will be entered into a competition to win $25. And well,
we're like, sharing, and subscribing, quite literally.
Yes. And question, I believe so, Paul.
No, you can't.
Okay. Well, Will has spoken.
Yeah. Bye.
and he's off. So that was Mr. Will Vincent. He's been and gone. And David Haynes, you are stood by with our race winner from race 1, race 2, and race 3, Alessandro Baccalega.
Alessandro, first of all, welcome and congratulations on those 3 race wins. I want to ask, was there any sense of relief when David Novakovsky had to come in for more fuel in that last race?
First of all, thanks a lot, everyone. And I don't look very. I look behind very. Sorry, but I am Italian, so Italian don't speak very well English. And no, I watch my race and try to make the best pace and try to not watch behind me.
Well, congratulations. Do you think the Mercedes is a good car for this track?
Yes, but I think it was also good Audi and BMW. I try in the week Audi, same pace race. I think maybe with the cold Audi was a little bit slower, but I think it's a good fight with other cars. Yes. Sorry.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone you need to thank for you and for your team?
Kenny Rosen, because he's more good patience with me. You took me in his team, and because I have trouble at work, I skip some races, and so maybe it's a good, this win is for you and for Luca Fioravanti, the setup man.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry to cut across you there, but now Jack Stiles, who do you have?
I am stood by with our second place finisher from today. He finished 3rd in race 1 and race number 2. This is going to be Reese Goodkill. And Reese, first of all, congratulations for the podium finishes today. You had that good old battle in 2 of the races with David Novakovsky. He's a very capable driver. Did you ever think that you had the pace to manage to get your way past?
Not really, mate. I was kind of waiting for a mistake if he, lost the rear out onto the back straight there. And no, I was never close enough to have a run at him.
Oh, well, obviously, looking forward, you are in a different car to the driver ahead of you in the final race, Alessandro Baccalega. You're in that BMW. It's a very different car to drive. Just to explain the challenges, especially at some of the circuits that we've got coming up. Maybe it may be probably well suited to Belle Isle, but maybe not some of the other circuits coming up.
Yeah, well, at this particular track, I was running no wing at all. It was a handful at times, especially that middle race. But yeah, it's It's not as slow up the straight as you'd probably think, the Beamer, because you can run a lot less rear wing.
And of course, before we go and let you celebrate with your team, who'd you like to give a shout out to today?
Yeah, just the boys at Element. Yeah, we're a pretty small team, but punch above our weight a bit. So yeah, shout out to them, and RaceSpot, Clint for organising the whole show, and yeah, that's about it.
And well, that is Reese Gookil. He finished second today in race number 3. You're going to be taking home the second most possible amount of points. You're very welcome, Reese. And very quick roundup, Tobias. What would you say about your first experience of the International GT3 Championship?
I think it's pretty cool. You have all the racing just where it needs to be, on track. You have fair racing, but still hard. You have accidents, you have mistakes, which are totally human. But all in all, they're all pretty close together when you're talking about racecraft.
And well, of course, this isn't the only racing action coming your way on RaceSpotTV this week. And indeed, so we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with the International GT3 Championship from Twin Ring Motegi. Do not forget, well, actually, no, this is the final broadcast of the week for RaceSpotTV. So actually, we're going to have a quiet Sunday tomorrow. That's rare for us. And we'll be back next week, of course, starting off with the Monday Night Skippies. And then we will be back in 2 weeks' time with the International GT3 Championship. Same place, same time at Twin Ring Motegi. We'll be going for another sprint round. 2 half-an-hour races coming your way. And of course, the championship is heading to some of the great tracks in the world. I have been Jack Styles. The guys alongside me have been Tobias Brockman. And for the final race, David Haynes. Paul Smith has been behind the cameras for you. We'll be back in 2 weeks with this series, and you will not want to miss it. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for watching a RaceSpotTV production of the International GT3 Championship, streaming live on iRacing Live. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend, and enjoy the 24 hours of Spa, which will be starting in just a few hours' time. Goodbye.